All right, it's canning season. Let's party. All right, let's do a quick tour of what's going on. We got our water filtering. That's gonna go in the jars and in the canner. We got our jars all clean. This is where we're gonna boil all the water. Around here, I've got all the potatoes peeled and ready to go. We'll chop them up here. They'll go into this bucket. Once I get them all chopped, we go back the other way into clean jars. So now they're in jars. There's no water in them. They're in the oven at 200 degrees for 12 or 13 minutes. Then I'll rotate 7 jars over here. The next 7 will go into the oven. So it's kind of like a process, you know. So now I've got some warmed up potatoes that have been in the oven for about 12 minutes. And that's where we'll put the boiling water, fill them up, clean the rims real good, put the lids on, and then we'll run them out. Hey buddy. And then we'll run them out here to the canner. 7 quarts in the bottom, and grab the next 7 quarts out of the oven, fill them up, put those in the top of the canner, seal it up, bring it up to temperature, and let it rock for about 40 minutes, and then we're good to go. Okay, so next I'm going to wash out the jars with hot water, get them all cleaned up. Let's start filtering the water. This is the water that we'll use to, we're going to boil this, and this is what goes in the jars. Okay, so we're getting our filtered water in the canner. When the jars are in here, I like it to be just below the top of the jars. Next I'm filling up the water that's going to boil, that goes in the jars. It's all filtered water. Next I'm going to cut them up. So just take them out of the bucket, slice them up into little pieces. I keep my tub right here so I can just dump them right in there. Okay, so I've got them all cut up, and next I'm going to put them in the jars. So while I'm doing that, I've got my oven heating up to 200, and I got this water starting to boil, starting to heat up on that too. You heat up the lids just a little bit, but not to a boil. And I've gone ahead and lit the fire under the canner, so we're starting to get that warmed up. Now into the oven. 7 quarts. Okay, so I've got 7 quarts in the oven. That's the bottom row of the canner, and I got 7 quarts here, and we're going to rotate these through. So this has been in here about 12 minutes, so they're, you know, fairly warmed up, so that when the boiling water hits them, it shouldn't crack the glass. That's why I do it. Got these out, and these will go in. So it works out good. It takes me about 12 minutes to fill those with water and get them in the canner, and then these will be next. So I don't fill them all the way to the top with that ladle. I use this to top it off. Bring it right up to where I want it. Next, I'm going to get the air bubbles out with this guy. So just work it around here a little bit. Before I started this, I went ahead and filled up my pots with more water that's already getting hot for the next round. So you want to stay ahead of things. It's sort of a circus act. Timing a lot of stuff. And next, we're going to clean this rim. This is one of the most important parts. You gotta have this clean. If there's any potato or anything on this rim, then it's not going to seal up right. So I want to get those clean. I'm cleaning them with vinegar. I do a 2-round. I clean it with vinegar, and then I go over and clean it with boiling water. Right, I'm going to go around with the boiling water. Just cleaning everything off of there. This is hot. Handle them by the edges. These are warm, but they're not boiling. Now these rings are not to be put on here tight. This is just to hold the lid in place. I'm not trying to seal anything up. I'm just holding the lid in place. Alright, so just snug them just a tiny bit. Barely snugged at all. I drop this last jar in here, and the water comes up about an inch, inch and a half below the top. That's where I like it. It's a little more than I think a lot of people do, but I'm going to be cooking for 40 minutes and I don't want it to run out of water. That on, and we're ready for 7 more. Let's go get those out of the oven. Canner. Alright, here we go. That's 14 quarts. And we're going to seal this up. This on here. Tighten it up with opposite sides. Okay, and we're going to crank the heat up. Okay, so once the canner heats up and you have steam coming out of here steady for 10 minutes straight, then you go ahead and drop your weight on here. Here at sea level it's 10 pounds, but that'll vary depending on your elevation. So now, we're going to wait till this gets up to 10 psi, and then we're going to start the clock for 40 minutes. Okay, when we hit 10 psi, the weight will start to jiggle, like it is now. And then we're going to go ahead and start reducing the heat to keep it between 10 and 12 psi. Now, if at any point it falls below 10 psi during that 40 minutes, you have to start over. Alright, so it's been 40 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cut the heat off of this, let it cool for at least half an hour. But when it gets down to 0, I'll take that weight off and remove the lid. Okay, after it's cooled down, we're going to remove the lid. We can take them out. Look at that. That look good? That looks really good. There goes one. Just popped. Alright guys, that's one round done. 14 quarts. Cooling off. Look at them bubbling. They look really good. So now it's just rinse and repeat. We'll just keep doing the same thing over and over. I usually do about 100 quarts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.